I gave my father's reserved table to my wife's parents, so my dad has this table. Corner booth at Marino's, the Italian place off 5th. He's been going there every Sunday for like 22 years. Same booth, same waiter, same order. The owner keeps it reserved for him under a little brass plate that says reserved, and honestly the whole restaurant kind of knows him. He's not rich. He just showed up every week and tipped well and never made a fuss, so they gave him that. My dad's 71 now. My mom passed 4 years ago, and that booth is basically the last thing in his week that feels like his. He goes, he eats, he watches the door like she might still walk in. That's his thing. I don't touch his thing. So here's what happened. My wife's parents came into town for their anniversary. 40 years, big deal, and my wife wanted to do something nice. She booked us all a table at Marino's for Saturday night, not Sunday, so I figured no overlap, no problem. Her parents are a lot. Her mom especially. Loud name drops, needs everyone to know she's the most important person in the building. We get there Saturday and it's packed. There's a wedding party, the whole place is slammed, and the table my wife booked got double booked somehow. So we're standing near the front and my mother-in-law is getting loud. This is unacceptable. We had a reservation, the whole thing. The host is sweating, and then my mother-in-law spots the corner booth. Empty. Little brass plate on it. She goes, what about that one? It's just sitting there empty. The host says, oh, that's reserved for a regular ma'am. And she says, well, is he here? Because we're here. I should have said something. I want to be clear that I know that now. But she looked at me, and my wife looked at me, and 40 years anniversary, and I just said to the host, quiet. It's fine. He won't mind. That's my dad's table, but he only comes Sundays. The host hesitated. He knew who I was. He'd seen me there with my dad. But I nodded like it was okay, so he sat us there. My father-in-law slid into my dad's spot. My mother-in-law spread her purse across the whole bench and said, see, now isn't this better? I sat through dinner feeling sick, but it was one night, Saturday. My dad goes Sundays. I told myself it didn't matter. Then my father-in-law knocked over a full glass of red wine, right into the seam of the booth, the cushion, the wall. It soaked in, and my mother-in-law laughed and waved the waiter over like it was hilarious, and there was this stain spreading across the cushion my dad has sat on for 22 years. I got a text the next afternoon from the owner. Guy named Sal, known me since I was a kid. It just said, call me. I called. He said, your dad came in today. His booth's got a wine stain across the whole seat. Smells like a bar. He asked what happened. I told him I didn't know. Do you know? I lied. I said no. And Sal was quiet for a second, and then he said, the host told me a guy who looked just like you sat your in-laws there last night. That true? I didn't say anything. He said, your dad sat somewhere else today. First time in 22 years he didn't sit in that booth. He didn't finish his food. You should know that. I drove over to my dad's that evening because I couldn't sit with it. He was in his chair. I told him. All of it. The wine, the anniversary, me nodding to the host. I said I was sorry. I said it was one bad night. I said I'd pay to have the cushion redone. He didn't yell. That's the part that got me. He just looked at the wall for a while, and then he said, your mother and I sat in that booth the night I proposed. She spilled wine too, on her dress. And I told her I'd love her even covered in it. He kind of laughed, but not really. That stain was mine. That was the last thing in that place that was still hers and mine. And you gave the seat to people who laughed while they ruined it. I said, Dad, it's a booth. And he looked at me and said, no. It's the 1 hour a week I got to sit where she still felt close. And you handed it away so your wife's mother wouldn't have to stand for 10 minutes. I didn't have anything for that. He said, Sal offered me the booth back, cleaned up. I told him to give it to somebody who'll keep it. My dad eats at the diner across the street now. He goes Sundays alone and sits by the window where he can see Marino's front door. He hasn't set foot back inside in 3 weeks.